I'm Virginia and this is Zion. Today we're going to show you an exercise that can help you teach your dog how to do a heel while you're out for a walk. So when I do walks with my dogs, I like to incorporate different types of things during the walk, partially practicing some heel and some other sorts of obedience behaviors like sit, down, back up, stay, wait, what have you. But I also like to give them free time to explore and to, really sniff things and check out things and explore their world. So it's really nice to be able to do a combination of that. Because there's times where you need a heel. If you're in traffic, you're having to pass by cars or bicycles, other dogs, just people jogging or children, what have you, and you need to keep the dog next to you. So today's exercise is just going to be a little exercise that I use with treats to help get the dog used to the position of the heel, of being next to you. When I want the dog to heel next to me, I basically want his collar or his ears to be next to my leg. So as I walk around, I want to have him right next to me. If he ends up a little in front of me, it's very easy for him to cut in front of me and possibly trip me, which I don't really like. So this exercise is a high rate of reinforcement with treats. I use a lot of treats, but I use them very, very small, and so that way they don't get filled up too quickly. You can also just use their kibble, of course. So I start with a luring technique where basically I can either put him in front of me, and I'm just having him follow my hand away from my body, and then I kind of make like a J shape, like that, where my hand comes away from my body and then loops back so he comes next to me. And then what I'm doing is, I'll start in front again, so we come away from my body and then bring him up in front of me, and then I'm turning my hand up and raising it above his head slightly to make him want to sit. I like adding that in, even though that's not necessarily part of the heel, just because it helps him stay in place a little bit better. A lot of times they tend to come back around in front when you're just standing. It can also help you get an automatic sit. If every time you're walking around and every time you stop, you ask the dog to sit, you have him sit, they start doing it automatically. So if you're waiting for traffic to go by or you want to stop to talk to someone, it's really nice for them just to kind of be able to sit or even lay down and wait. So I'm going to show you from the side too. So if he's out in front, so I'm going to take my hand with the treat in it, and I step back because he's a medium-sized dog, so he can do this technique without me stepping back, but a bigger dog needs a little more space. So bringing him in front of me is the same thing, except my hand's leading him in the J out in front, like that. So I bring him, I step back, bring him behind me, and then I bring him up alongside into the sit. So as he gets good at getting from this position where I'm changing his position, and I can bring him out back in front, or I can even just toss a treat like that. Okay, go ahead. And then bring him back into position. So initially I'm doing this with a lure. As he gets better at it, I'm just going to do it with just my empty hand, which still smells like treats. Bring him into that position, and then I'm going to transfer the treat into that hand to hand it to him. I don't want to twist across my body to feed the treat. See how he had to lunge forward, and then he ended up in front of me. So I really want to try and treat with the hand that's next to him. So because I'm doing this off leash, I want to make sure I'm practicing either inside my house, inside my house, or out if you have a fenced-in yard. But you want to make sure you're in an area where you're very safe and your dog can't run after squirrels or other dogs. Good. So as he gets better at getting into this position where he's moving, okay, go ahead. So I can send him out to get a treat, or I can send him out to another exercise, and then I can bring him back next to me. As he gets better about it, I can start adding a word. So I add the word when he's actually doing the action I want. So you can use whatever words you want, whether it's heel, hip, with me. You can use a hand signal, place, whatever term you want to use. Okay. So I'm not going to say it until he's right here. Heel, good. So we're trying to teach this position kind of like you teach the sit, or you teach a, a down or any other sort of trick. And heel. So as he gets better at it, he'll start to associate the word with the action. So then what we start to do is we'll start using this instead of me standing still and him moving, is I'm going to move first, and have him come with me. Good. So I can change direction. I can walk a couple steps. Oops. And if he gets lost, he gets out of position, no big deal. I just grab a treat and lure him again. And what happened is I went a little too fast. He got a little lost because I spun around like that and I didn't use my hand to kind of lead him around. So if you go too fast, if your dog's getting confused, you might have to go back to luring to make it a little simpler for him. So you can kind of make up whatever pattern you want. You can do like little 90-degree turns. Or you can do 180-degree turns. Again, don't go so fast. Now see how that time he turned and he swung around more than what I want. Now he's perpendicular to me like that. I'm going to reposition him. And so if he makes a mistake, the only correction really is just that I reposition him. So right now I'm practicing this on my left, but when I walk my dogs, sometimes I also want them on my right, depending on what we're passing. So you can practice this on both sides. Now because he's had more practice with this, you'll see I am switching back and forth a little bit more quickly. If this is new to your dog, stick to one side for a while until they get the idea before maybe you lure them to the other side. And you can also do it like this, where I lure him from one side right back to the other side. So you've got a few different ways you can do this. And it's okay to move, especially if you have a very long dog, if you have a big dog. You might need them to come way forward and way back before coming to your other side. So you've got a few different techniques you can use. Wait. So now the problem is when you're ready to take this outside and you're going to put your leash on, you need to make sure that the leash isn't getting in your way. Because what tends to happen is, because I'm trying to hold him short and hold him in a heel, if the leash is in my hand that's closest to him, now if the treat's in my other hand, now I'm twisting across my body. And I see how that throws his position off? So what I want to do instead is I'm going to hold the leash in my other hand, the one that's further from him, and then still hold the treat. And make sure I'm delivering the treat, whether you're starting with the treat or just treating at the end. I'm holding that in the side next to him, so see how he's really a nice orientation to me. So you can see the leash isn't doing any sort of guidance, any sort of direction. It's just there for safety, so that if he sees another dog or a squirrel or a person or something like that, he's not just going to take off and run after them. I can stop him. So I still have a nice good hold on my leash, but it's not really helping with the exercise, just for safety. So that's it for part one. I'm going to show you in a part two. We're going to show you how to use the leash to help you keep the dog in a heel position. But this exercise was really just about helping the dog get comfortable with this position, getting familiar with where it is. You can attach a name to it or a hand signal. Your dog really loves this game. But if you're out walking down the street, you don't necessarily want your dog constantly staring at you the whole time like this. So it's a great introduction for it, but once you get out into the real world, you're gradually going to do it a little more intermittently, not as constant feeding treats. So maybe we'll walk for a little bit and we'll practice heel, maybe we'll use a few treats, and then I'll say, okay, go ahead, or okay, go sniff. And that means now you have some free time, you can go explore and take a little break from our formal training. All right, enjoy, have a great dog.